Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Blood Bowl. Kind of another special Blood Bowl. We're doing a Spectator on one of the other league games because both of them are too lazy to record/upload to a channel. So, it's me, TitansCreed from Project Phoenix Productions, joined by the one and only Goramoth.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm excited because I'm playing in the Cripple Cup again this weekend.
Huzzah!
So that should be interesting.
Always a fantastic thing to see. So, yeah, we've got Dan's Skull Push versus Goatfort's Humans.
Yep.
What's their name? I forget. I come up on my screen.
Clone Brigade.
The Clone Brigade. There we are, Mr. Goatfort. With that stupidly high SPP ogre for this point in the league. A very well behaved ogre.
Yeah, not the highest SPP on a big guy though. That belongs to the Skaven.
The Rat Ogre's very well behaved as well, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, what should we expect from this match? Because Dan is very throwy and does bullshit, and Lucas so far has been known to do a lot of bullshit so far.
Well, one thing we should expect from this match, not just expect, but we should point out is this match is a Sweltering Heat start.
Yep.
Sweltering Heat, for those who do not know, is at the end of every single drive, so basically when play stops, a dice is rolled for every single player on the pitch. If they roll a 1, that player passes out from the Heat and can't be used for the next drive. Has the potential to absolutely destroy a game. Typically you see 1 to 2 players removed from every drive, give or take, if it persists.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of Lucas, I mean, he's got the upper hand where he's got the extra player on the bench for them. So, I mean,
yeah, that's absolutely true. He's got a 12-man team.
So, I mean, that's hopefully not going to hurt him as much. But one thing to note is Dan has got a wizard. Some kind wizard has a wizard.
Correct. He went all in with the inducements, which was, in my opinion, the correct choice. In terms of actually what kind of game we're going to see, we're going to see a very fast game because both Dan and Lucas are greedy and will try to score as much as possible.
as rightly they should. The first kickoff event is an extra reroll for both teams.
Yeah, which means we definitely have that Sweltering Heat for at least one drive.
Absolutely. So this is quite a high reroll in terms of that. I mean, they've both got Apothecary, and it's 5 rerolls to Humans, 4 rerolls to Elves, and just those skills on the Human Blitzer, the jump up and the block, are quite scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that just gives him, because 7 movement on Humans is just scary as it is. So having the ability to just run down the field, get up, is almost gutter runner levels of scary.
Yeah, speaking of which, we're seeing Lucas do his classic, which is presenting a threat on both wings. He's run a blitzer through one side with the jump up, and he's got his catcher with diving catch on the other side. The idea is, of course, that Dan has to split his team to cover both of them because both of them present scoring threats. This is very standard Lucas play.
Absolutely, but I mean, the big thing to remember about Dan is very ball focused, and he'll aim for the ball carrier rather than deal with the threats most of the time.
Yeah, which is why Lucas is doing... This is a very typical elf tactic where you pick the ball up and then you move further into your own half. The idea is you force the enemy team to either... If they want to touch the ball, they have to go after the guy stood far at the back, and when you bait them forward, you then just throw it straight past them to your scoring pieces.
Which is what we can see Dan doing there. He's racing his pieces to the back, but he is trying to tackle the two, both wings, and try and form some amount of defence. He's putting too much pressure on this ogre. I can understand why. The ogre has been a big threat so far.
Yeah, I agree. The issue is, I think one covering Barbarian is probably okay. He needs more than one covering this catcher, though, because that guy does have dodge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which means it's a reroll 3+, which isn't too bad.
So, yeah, we're missing out that was a plus strength elf there as well on the lineman, which is a 4/4 piece, which is pretty damn scary as it is. I mean, that's almost equal. I mean, that is equal to my Chaos Warrior, which is the extra agility as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, four stat points in one ability is scary enough as it is, let alone having a double line of 4s.
Yep. So this is the other issue with the setup Dan's gone for. By only putting one marker on these two sort of scoring threats, you can just blitz them off. There's only one threat there, and that's been removed.
Absolutely. So now we see the other thing that Lucas likes to do, and that is
throw the ball.
And he does pretty well at it as well. I mean, a 3 stat line isn't too bad to play the throwing game with, but
it is the average stat line.
I mean, but he's even with a lot of 3 stat lines, you and I have both found personally that hasn't really helped us. Even a 4 stat line hasn't really helped us it most of the time.
No, it's true.
But I mean, that's a very quick touchdown from Human.
That is pure ball play right there. Very, very elf in its nature. But humans, like, people underestimate humans. They can play the ball almost as well as elves.
Absolutely.
Like, the 3 agility isn't that much of a... Like, obviously the 4 is huge, but the 3 isn't that bad.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, this is why humans are a good all-round team. And I mean, I think the reason we see Lucas play a lot like an elf team is because he's mained like high elves for the longest time. I mean, he's even said to us that he was mostly worried about this match because he knew what high elves could do.
Yeah. So going to the second drive, we can take a look. So annoying thing about Blood Bowl 2, it doesn't really show you the sweltering heat, but if you look into the casualty boxes, you can see that Dan has a blitzer who has passed out, whereas Lucas has a lineman that has passed out.
Absolutely. So I mean, that hasn't affected Lucas because, as we said, he had the extra body. So Lucas is fielding a whole team, whereas Dan's going to be an elf down for this drive now.
Not just that, he's down a blitzer, and high elves only get 2 blitzers. So
that is true.
It's the one sort of saving grace is that at least it wasn't the blodge blitzer.
I agree. Now, Lucas using kick, and then we see the rock coming in. And that is a straight stun, as is generally...
Nope, it's a KO.
KO, ew.
It's a KO.
It's quite disgusting, really.
That puts down another player down. But that catch was great.
That catch was fantastic. I mean, considering that the Elves had kick, I mean, he had to have placed it close to that line in order to be able to have the threat on to try and get the ball back quickly.
So one thing I'm slightly confused as to is considering Dan set up second because he's receiving, I'm not quite sure why there are so many elves in contact with this ogre.
I think he's just scared of what the ogre can do.
But then you put one elf.
No, absolutely. You just mark the ogre, but I think he has the wanting to knock the ogre on its ass. I think this is what's going through Dan's mind here. Although I don't understand if that was the case, why he's just pushed the ogre out to touch.
If you want to do that, like, you don't push the ogre out, and if you don't want to do that, then you shouldn't have that many elves there. And honestly, even if you do want to do that, it's kind of dicey anyway because you're committing so many elves, and you're already down 2 players.
Yeah. He's committed a lot of elves to this elf cage, which is really close to that ogre and those 2 pieces, though.
It's also a really weak cage
because he just
all the corners are open, which is unfortunate. There's the block. Takes down the elf.
Yep, and now he's got a way in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
now the ogre can
blitz in.
Yeah, the ogre's just going to hit that guy and then run
in. Just give the guard.
Yep, absolutely. This is the other thing I don't understand as well. I remember in this match, Dan constantly tried to put his strength piece near the ogre.
Yeah.
And I get why, because it's an easier punch on the ogre in theory, but it's also like a very valuable piece that's going up against a mighty blow ogre.
Absolutely, because those the stat up pieces are really expensive because they're just hard to roll most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't understand it. And the cage is just
like I understand. Later on, I could understand marking with like a blodge piece or something because the ogre doesn't have those skills, which means potentially there is the chance of the tackle going, or the block rather, going really badly for the ogre.
Yeah.
But just a straight stat point, the ogre doesn't give a shit.
The ogre's not going to care. I mean, it's still got the 1 in 6 to fail. So.
Yep.
But we can see this is where Lucas is being semi-greedy. He knows he's got position on this cage right now. So he took the... They're both down there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a KO for Dan and a stun for Lucas. So that is Dan's catcher out, which I remember at the time he was very disappointed about because if I know Dan, what was about to happen here is a throw over the humans to the catcher.
But he now needs to compensate for that, and especially since his cage has been pretty much breached at this point, and Lucas was set up for a nice throw and then dunk into the touchdown line. So,
I mean, I wouldn't even call this a cage anymore. He's just netted.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair estimation.
But yeah, this is all right. He gets it to the throw, and then I think he just goes straight for the pass. But
I don't understand this play. Why he's...
I do not understand this at all. He throws it to that. Like, I remember at the time he was deciding between which of these two far left elves does he decide to, like, throw it to, and he throws it with a guy in contact, so it's just like, Lucas just runs this guy up, 3-2 dice.
I mean, I'd understand it if there were no rerolls left and it had a higher chance to...
But they're the same distance away.
Yeah, I know. It's probably one of many mistakes we'll see in this game. And I mean, we're only on turn 4, and they've still got a fair amount of rerolls. There's so many rerolls going into this game.
There really were. I mean, Dan's still totally in a fine position. It's just this is my constant observation with Dan. He likes to make things really hard for himself, and I don't know why.
Well, we know Dan likes to play for fun, which is a fair point. But this is a game that's going to punish you for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that like he shouldn't make fun plays. Like his throwing plays are really fun. I don't mean like that. I mean, sometimes like the way he thinks things through just makes it so much more. Like he could do what he wanted to do. There was just a much easier way of doing it.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. It's just, I think if he wants to specifically play the throwing team, then he should, when he's doing the throws, he should make the tactical throws better. And that's the other thing. He's gone to make the dodge to try and get a better throw. And the ball's just gone.
I think this was the correct choice. Trying to dodge out was not the correct choice there. But the dodge and pickup was correct, but he should have just probably tried to throw it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. Throw it to possibly the elf that's close to the ogre and try to dodge out there, because it's... Oh,
I would have been...
That's
I would have been even tempted to just throw it away.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, Basilisk is injured, of course, that is the thrower and catcher from the elf team gone. So now we're just looking at one blitzer and a bunch of basic line elves. Of course, line elves are very strong still because that 4 agi, like they could all do the throwing game without much issues. It's just you get a bit of more of a safety net with those positionals.
Yeah, we've both had a turn of the ball fumbling there. And Dan's in a not Dan, but Lucas is in a very strong position to just keep the ball right now. Make it a 2-0 start in the first half, which is going to be very punishing for Dan, considering this was his drive as well.
Exactly. So one thing that I think most players in our league would do right here is this would be a stall right here. This ball would hit the line and it would wait on the line. Absolutely. Whereas Lucas will probably put it in as quickly as possible.
Because Lucas is greedy and he knows that if he can get the ball and do a 3-4 turn drive, then he can very possibly do another 2-turn drive, especially with the chaos and the injuries he's inflicted this drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and plus, who knows what the Swelter and Heat could bring in the next turn. So
absolutely, because we're guaranteed there will be another round of knockouts. Even if changing where that happens on the next kickoff, you're still going to get people passed out from this drive. Yeah.
So Dan gets lucky here, gets the ball carried down. Now, I think an observation that was made during when this match went live was the fact that because it's a shorter... That's an unfortunate dodge there. Because it's a shorter league, there's no real choice for fun skills to be taken.
That's true.
Like, a lot of us did. Like, I took Jump Up on a Black Hawk in the last league, and it's like a lot of us... Unfortunately, especially with at what point we are in this league right now, we have to take a lot of the... I call it anti-fun because it's just a standard ability choice of like block or dodge or anything like that. But unfortunately, that's the case that if, like, say, myself or you need to make any choice in order if we want to progress to the playoffs at this point. And
it's true.
We're not
my playoff dreams basically get decided by this week's games. I really need to win this game. I have a good chance of it win.
Agreed.
That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, myself, I'd have to win both of my games and expect people to lose. And unfortunately, the people who I need to lose are, unfortunately, got some really strong teams, which I don't think are going to lose to some of their opponents for the next 2 weeks as well. So We'll see. It's fun, but it's definitely been something. I have an idea of who I want to play in the next season.
I'll just say it right now. If I don't get Norse. Or something like that, I'll probably end up just playing Bretonians. Bretonians are elves.
If I don't get Norse, I'm probably going to play Human.
Going back to my elves, Bretonians.
Fair enough. I was thinking Bretonians, but I don't think I'd be able to abuse their skills quite so well. So this is all just Dan trying to now just try to stall out any of the actual drive right now so that Lucas can't get the touchdown and go 2-0 on the first half.
Pretty much.
That would kind of crush Dan's dreams straight off the bat.
Luckily, he does have the plus strength elf.
Yeah. So
Always useful.
He makes the pass to get it back down the field. Fortunately, fumbles it after using the reroll already. So Lucas's dreams of doing a 2-0 drive are still alive.
Yeah, the fumble is real unfortunate.
It's almost like it's really sunny.
Really sunny doesn't... Oh, it's sweltering heat.
Yeah, no, I said it's almost like it's really sunny.
I mean, technically, I guess it is.
Yeah. But that's another KO against the Elves. That line's not looking nice with 3 KOs and an injury right now.
Yep, that's 4 Elves off the pitch. Obviously, the Blitzer is definitely coming back after this drive, but still, right now, that's 4 Elves missing. And just, this is the point where you're just kind of like, as an Elf team, you're just like, I mean, individually, my pieces can make the plays, but he can just... For every one of my players, there's like 2 of his marking them, and it's just... It gets very dicey.
This is the greediness that we've come to see from Lucas. Like, instead of going for the sure win with the cheap throw, he runs in, gets the ball, passes it to the character he wants the SPP gain on. So I really think he probably could have got the ball, thrown it to the catcher and scored with the catcher that turn, instead of trying to push the SPP on specific people. It may come back to punish him now.
It may do. I think in this situation it wasn't too bad of a choice just because of how dominant a position he has on the field.
Yeah. I'd possibly agree, but the fact is that I think that he made the wrong choice, and he could have probably gone into the second half with a 2-0 lead, like definite, instead of
He still has a turn.
Yes, he does still have a turn, but he has to make a sheer play right now to do it.
He does, but he has 2 players. Is that even maybe 3? I can't check his movement right now.
No, he's got 2 players that are in range.
Yeah, so he's got 2 scoring pieces. So I mean, it's like the Ogre's moving. The most well-behaved big guy in the league continues to be well-behaved. That double guard is just...
It's pretty silly. So here we go. Sure hands works. He has to re-roll there, though.
Still has fucking 1 reroll left.
And he's made the mistake there where he's moved other pieces and not thrown the balls, so he's messed up on this drive.
Oh, yeah, I remember that happening.
Because he said he wanted to secure things, and then the minute he did it, we said, yeah, but you can't use your thrower anymore. And he was just like, no! And yeah, he got punished for it.
Yeah. I mean, that should have just been a straight throw to probably
Absolutely.
Barbarian, and then Barbarian runs it in.
But yeah, a very speedy first half there, and definitely some mistakes from both sides.
Absolutely entertaining as fuck, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I knew going into this match it was going to be something because you have Dan playing as he's been playing, and you have Lucas playing as he's been playing, and yeah.
Yep, no doubt. So, we see one of the elves that were KO'd get up, so it's just a matter of who's going to get knocked out with sweltering heat now.
Well, Dan is lucky; he has no sweltering heat casualties, so he's fine. Lucas has lost one of his blitzers.
His namesake.
In fact, he's lost himself. So numbers-wise, Dan's still down, obviously, because he's got...
Yeah.
Lucas still is fielding a full field because he has the extra player. Dan is down 3 elves, including all his positionals. At least, sorry, yeah, that's not true because he has the blitzers, but all his passing positionals, let's say that. So,
obviously we see here that he's... well, not only did Lucas get the extra reroll again, giving him 5 for another drive, but he likes kicking the ball close to the actual mid-pitch, doesn't he? He's obviously put it on the weaker side, not the one with 2 elves on, so...
It's a valuable tactic, like especially as Lucas is an elf coach usually.
Yeah.
It's a very elf tactic to kick it short so you can steal it. Especially on a weak side like this. Like, Dan has no defense on this at all. It's something I criticized of him while we were playing the match. He likes putting his wing pieces in this sort of slightly inner position, which leaves a free channel down the side of the pitch that an enemy player can just run down.
Absolutely.
that I do not like at all, because I just don't see why you would give your enemy such easy access to your own half.
Yeah, I don't know, but Dan's making the throw plays again, and
He is.
he's playing more elf-like, and this is something I think I mentioned during the match as well, that he's playing the elves and he's not taking the dodge chances that he should be taking as an elf coach.
Maybe not.
But
He's doing...
I mean, luckily he's not got punished for it there. But
I think that was fine. He just needs to be aggressive because he's 1-0 down. He should, in theory, be 2-0 down.
yeah, in theory. But Lucas is going to cage him in right now. I don't know. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there is still a chance for that elf to actually score this turn, especially with the Goatfort fail there and the reroll use this turn. I think he just needs to do those 2 dodges and run for it, really.
Yeah, considering that the guy holding the ball has dodge, that's the smarter play, just to run for it.
He fails to go for it in the last piece, but does he use a reroll? I presume he will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
there you
don't
go.
fail him.
Another 2-turn drive right at the beginning of the half.
Mr. Hero.
Mr. Hero James pulls one out. So that ties up the game really quickly, but are we going to... This is the thing, are we now going to see another 6-turn stall in the middle of the field again?
Maybe, but also that's another fast drive, which again, we've still got sweltering heat going on, so let's see what actually happens out of that. Dan does recover one of his positionals.
But what do we see
think
from
it's
the
the throw.
sweltering heat, though? That's the thing.
Let's have a look. Okay, there is one line elf down,
And
Frankenstein's monster.
There is 2 humans down, both linemen, though. One with block, however.
One has block, yeah. But Dan has his thrower back. The catcher is still off the field, but
So Dan is still what? Dan is still elves down. He's way undermanned right now.
Dan's 2 elves down, I think, overall.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So
Yep, 2.
Yeah, two elves down in comparison. What did Lucas actually buy to give him the extra person? Was it the thrower or the catcher?
Catcher, I want to say. Pretty sure it was the catcher.
What was he?
High kick.
Which is not going to really help because those humans are strong with the ball.
And we still got that sweltering heat. That's another drive of sweltering heat.
I mean, the matches this week have been very weather prone. Like, I've had rain throughout all of my match. If you haven't seen it already, guys, there'll be an annotation to it at the end of the video. Who else did we have weather matching? I think it was.
I had half a game of rain.
Was it your
recently.
match? Was it?
It was. I don't think it was this week, but like the week before, I had half a game of rain.
Might-
So I mean,
It might have been Nick with half a game of rain then this week.
yeah, Nick had rain against
Yeah.
Madden, I think.
So it's been a very weather witch week.
Oh, I had very sunny, didn't I?
Ah, there you go then. Making them pass plays. But yeah, so Lucas is obviously pushing his authority down that. I want to say the left wing. I'm not sure which viewpoint you're viewing from.
I'm viewing from Dan's.
Yeah, so we've got the same viewpoint. So that left wing is being pushed by Lucas.
I mean, just look at how strong this position is. There's no elves here. One of the elves that is here is stunned. The other is on his ass.
I think you criticised Dan for having his 2 elves on that right wing so close together and it just showed there that Lucas is just pushing down the far edge.
Yeah, Dan gets saved a bit here with this cock up of a throw.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's something to note out that he's not elf screening properly and using tackle zones to a decent advantage, and he's just letting his opponent just run outside of the tackle zones through the field and just get the field. And there's Dan messing up a pass, unfortunately. Successfully with the crit, but does he do the catch? No.
So I mean, the main thing with Dan's positioning is, it almost feels like this setup he's gone with here is, it almost feels like he thinks it's his drive.
Yes.
It's a very weak defensive setup, whereas it's like because he's weighted, right? He's weighted it to one side, which you never do in defensive plays.
Well, it was how Lucas punished him. He specifically put the ball on the weaker side. I mean, luckily, even with the fail catch, like the ball's on that side with the elves that are still on their feet. Luckily enough, but
yeah,
because he's done all of these plays without picking the elves up, they're all still on their ass. The ball's back on that left wing again.
Yep, straight goes the Waxer, throws it straight down.
Yep. These humans are really good at throwing that ball, I'm going to say.
It's like not that likely.
Wow,
That's why
that's another 2-turn drive from the humans, though.
Yeah, it is. Brings it to 2-1. So let's see what the fickle god that is sweltering heat does this time.
Is it just me? I'm getting really sick of just seeing human cheerleaders all the time. I'd really like a variety of cheerleaders.
I missed the racial specific cheerleaders from Blood Bowl 1. They were fun. But I want to point out that I don't. If people are watching this and think we're kind of overly critical of Dan here, I don't mean it like that. I'm just kind of trying to use it as an example of pointing things out. Like,
this is one of those rare things where we get to spectate over a match where the game's not in play.
Oh, this is, sorry to interrupt. This is the thing we should mention. So this drive is the swing, because in terms of sweltering heat, Dan has a lineman out again. Not a big deal. Lucas loses 3 players. One's the ogre, the other is his guard piece, and then Waxer. Yeah.
So we can see a big shift in the way that Lucas has set up his defensive line, and that he's blockaded himself down the middle. And Dan still left his 2 linemen there. There we go. He split them up a bit, but he's still pushing too much towards that side, and I have a feeling he's going to get punished for it.
Pushing into the side like this is okay on his offense, because he's hooking. He's essentially trying to hook in, which I think is fine.
It's humans with another reroll.
Yeah, I think it's just an insane amount of rerolls. That kick's really good for Dan. Plays it right by an elf and just runs straight up.
Is Dan? I was going to say Dan's not going to just throw the ball down there without protecting the player who's going to throw it to, surely.
No.
I mean,
I would have probably tried to dodge out the strength piece as well.
Do you feel that Dan should be dodging out rather than just punching with these elves and just securing a stronger cage on the right hand side?
It depends, really. It depends on the skills and the positions. Like I feel like he should have dodged out some elves, but this isn't really a bashing match per se, so leaving the elves in contact isn't that big of a deal, because he does want to tie the humans up. It's not... The difference is, so obviously I play Wood Elves, and Wood Elves are all armor 7, whereas these guys are armor 8, so in theory letting them get hit isn't that much of a big deal.
So Dan blows his last reroll there.
Yeah. What I would have liked to do instead... First off, this is a mistake right here. He throws it to the wrong person, which I'm not... Again, that's not a criticism of Dan. When we were watching this game, he was like, I fucked up. I clicked on the wrong elf.
Yeah.
But one thing I would have liked to do is, instead of punching with the strength elf, I would have dodged it out and placed it to mark the catcher and thrower.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at least it would have been a dodge to...
I mean, we can see there that with the PAL, the blodge wouldn't have saved him as much as it was. But I mean, the ball scatters to a decent position. There's a tackle zone on it at least, so it's not all is not lost just yet. One thing we should mention is that while Dan is out of rerolls, he still has that wizard.
He does. Lucas was constantly worrying about it in the game.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of comments of fucking wizard, which is why you've not... Like, Lucas has played against the wizard very well. There's been very little grouping up at all.
Absolutely. He's
spread his players out reasonably well to avoid the wizard, which is exactly how you should play.
That's really sucky for the first time with no rerolls.
Yep. Just immediate turnover.
Absolutely. So
there's not a lot you can do about that.
No. Unfortunately, Dan did it again where he didn't get his elves up off the floor first and do any of the safe moves before he did anything else. Like, he should have moved these back elves up to secure the ball, kind of, and then done like the punching moves.
Yeah. It's like it's been the sort of like continuing theme of this season, but I will continue to state it until people get it. If you are blocking without block, even with a 2 dice, you have a 1 in 9 chance of just failing.
And this is a really, really safe runaway, because I don't believe any of the elves can actually reach this position.
No, it's so far back. He can get 1 elf in contact if he gets 2 going for it, but he can't get the blitz off.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of failure of these actual drives right now, and a KO on the failed dodge as well.
Yeah.
That could be pretty sucky for Lucas. But, I mean, the ball's in a safe position, and there's the wizard.
Yeah, wizard just straight away. This is a... this is pretty much like you have to lightning bolt here
I
because
don't think we really understood the foul here. I mean, it was probably to see if he could actually cause a stun or get the piece out of the way, but doing the foul on the first move was really dangerous.
It was dumb. It was flat out dumb. I yelled at him in the escape call about doing this.
That was almost a really good pass. Almost. It was in the right position. It's just... I don't know. I think maybe Dan should have held onto the ball and got a better position, because once again, he hasn't moved all of his pieces. I think him keeping the ball would probably have been wiser. Lucas could only have afforded to do one blitz, though. Luckily, he's fumbled the actual pickup on the ball.
Yep. He does have rerolls, though.
He does, and he's blowing through them with no success, though.
Yeah, that's just... This game has some really unfortunate fumble timings.
It does. I mean, the big thing we need to pick up is, can Dan capitalise on the fact the ball is in the opposing half?
He should be able to. He's got a dodge piece there. This should be just a pick up and run with Mr. Hero James. At least in my opinion.
Which he does with some... Why? I don't... Oh, right, he's done the pass, yeah. So he's basically done what Lucas does. Now, can he do the dodge and run? Yes, he can. Which is a really late dunk. But it still leaves Lucas with 2 turns. And as we've seen twice, Lucas can 2-turn touch now.
He can. He absolutely can.
Let's see how much of a fickle mistress the weather is this time.
So this time Dan has his dodge piece off. So Mr. Hero James, after being a hero, has fallen over. Whereas Lucas has no one. Yeah. Everyone is back.
Everyone's back, including his knockout. That's got to be scary.
Yeah, because Lucas is just going to go all in on the line. And Dan does not have the pieces to even sort of start dealing with this. He's 3 pieces down.
Do you think that Dan should have just had the 3 on the line and just backed all of the elves back?
Yes, 100%. Like, that's not even a discussion.
Yeah.
Like, why is Lucas being allowed to punch his pieces right now?
Yeah, it's only going to leave, 3 elves not on the line? And once again, Lucas gets another reroll. Jesus. More rerolls than he has. Yeah, so he's going to leave 3 elves still awake for a push.
Like, if you're I'm not trying to be overly critical of Dan. It's just I'm using this game to point out mistakes that if people want to learn to play Blood Bowl better. And again, I'm not saying I'm like the best at Blood Bowl, but these are like mistakes you shouldn't make in Blood Bowl because it will punish you.
Yeah,
like when you're defending, 3 of your pieces are going to get punched. Don't give them more pieces to get punched on top of that.
So we can see that Lucas has got one of his pieces. It's going to be his thrower. And he's going to probably try and throw the ball down to his catcher, I imagine, because he's got 2 turns and he's probably going to go for the really fast, safe drive. And that's another elf off the field. What are your opinions?
At the position right now,
yeah,
it's looking very strong for Lucas. He's got the catcher in the fast position. He's got Barbarian backing up as well. He's got the thrower going to pick the ball up, run forward, and throw. It's like this is the 2-turn we've seen from Lucas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the weather really hasn't helped Dan at all, and the fact that his players just haven't got up with the knockouts as well. I mean, yes, he was. You could say that he was super unlucky with the wizard. Now, this is a play I don't agree with from Lucas there. I don't think he should have moved that piece up. If he kept one piece back, then he wouldn't have been able to get the 2, like the big blitz.
Yep, it's true. It would have been a red die instead of 1 dice.
But this is just where the Greekness comes into it, and there's the ball in a semi-safe position, but the ogre... Dan should
not have attempted to pick that up.
He should have just kept the tackle zones and moved his elves in, but... Yeah, now the elf just punches and lets the humans get in. Thankfully, the elf is still up, providing that tackle zone.
Yeah. I will say I do understand why Dan attempted to pick that up, because he just wanted to, he felt it was safer in his hands than on the floor.
Flash Gorgon's doing work here with that. Yeah. That blodge is just too useful. And Lucas is having all kinds of problems. And
there's the bonehead.
Trying to knock the ball into a decent position, but yeah, as you say, there's the bonehead on the ogre. The one turn that's actually necessary, the ogre messes up.
Yep.
So there we go. Now again, I think he probably should have just gone for the straight throw instead of the dodge, but it ends the game. I mean, who could say what should have been done there?
I don't agree because the dodge was a 3+ dodge with a dodge reroll.
Okay, so he had the better chances, but obviously it failed. So, okay, that's agreeable. But we've seen that the humans can throw pretty well.
They can, but that would be a 50-50 throw because of the tackle zone. So a 3+ dodge with a reroll is better than a 4+ throw with a reroll.
Absolutely. So it's a 2-2 game, a very enjoyable game. One would also,
the game was fantastic.
What game of the week? Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Brilliant. So
look at that SPP spread on both teams.
It's pretty sick. It is pretty sick. I mean, that's 15 for the Elves and
it's 15 on both teams.
15 on both teams. Wow. It's a pretty decent spread as well for the humans as well. Plus, the MVP went on a lineman who also leveled up. That's his kick lineman that leveled up again.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sick. I mean, right there. I mean, the statistics are going to show that it's a pretty evenish game in terms of ball possession. So
what's interesting if you look at the stats is it does kind of show like whereas Dan and Lucas do play very similar styles. The stats actually do show the slight difference in their styles. Whereas Dan has 4 passes, Lucas has 2. Dan has 100 yards running, and Lucas has 150. Yeah. So Lucas has a lot more running his players into a deep position, throwing it, and then running it. Whereas Dan has a lot of throwing.
I think as you made a statement earlier on in the game, is that because Lucas is so practiced with his high elf play that he runs back to try and draw the players in. We don't see Dan doing that. Dan runs up and tries to pass the ball that way, even if it ends up in an unsafe position.
Yeah.
But, that was a really good game. We're drawing close to the end of...
2 weeks left to go?
Yeah, that was this is week 5, so...
Yeah, 6 and 7.
It's coming to an interesting lead. I mean, if we head into the leaderboard at this point... I mean, we can obviously see at the end, because all the games have been played for this week, so, I mean, this is a slight bit of a spoiler. But, that leaderboard is quite scary right now.
It's really interesting how much it's actually sort of... what's really interesting, because of the draws that Lucas has run into recently, I think he's drawn the last 2 weeks. Obviously, he just drew now.
Yeah.
It's actually, if Lucas loses his next 2 games... And Madden and the 4 people underneath him, so me, Madden, Greg, and Goramoth do well enough. Lucas actually fails to makes playoffs. He can actually fall out of playoffs.
The bottom 4. I mean, Ronif still in high contention for that 4th position.
He is. He's essentially on 2 wins.
Exactly. He essentially is. Yeah. I mean, a win and a lose for Greg would not bounce those 2 around because. That would put him 1 point ahead of Greg.
Right well, I'm hoping to beat Greg because I'm playing Greg next. Yeah. So my ideal is to beat Greg because I play Greg and then you.
Yeah.
And I think if I can get 4 wins, I am pretty safe in top 4. I don't know where I'll end up in top 4, but I feel 4 wins will get me into top 4 and keep me in top 4. So I'm hoping
I'd say so because just looking at this, I mean. I think anyone with 4 wins is solid right now. I'd say if Lucas gets the 4 wins, he's definitely up there. I mean, Madden's been... After his first 2 really bad games, he's come back pretty well.
Yes, it's because in his first 2 games, he didn't play Skaven.
Yeah.
And then, from that on, he actually started, playing, he's actually started putting his gut runners into actual threats rather than walking up the pitch in a cage.
Absolutely. Which is quite interesting. But, I mean, this is something we should leave for the wrap-up. But the leaderboard right now at this point is really interesting. So, at that point, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on commentary, Mr. Goramoth.
Yeah, no problem. It was a fun game. People deserve to see it because, like I said, there was a lot of stuff to point out, a lot of interesting things. The game itself was good. Swordring Heat made it pretty interesting. And it was just a good way to sort of point things out and explain why maybe the safer play is to do this or that.
Absolutely. If anybody wants to watch your Blood Bowl games or any of your other content, where can they find you?
YouTube.com/Dead Air Gaming. I've got a bunch of playlists up for the first season and this season. You can just watch the playlist. It has all the games that I have on my channel plus the wrap-ups in there, so you don't even have to put much effort into it, really.
Absolutely. And as always, I have been TitansCreed Project Phoenix Productions, and thank you very much for watching. And until next time, we will see you in the next video.